Welcome to the Liberace Mansion.
Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Schorr. We are live from the Liberace Mansion. Las Vegas, all of Las Vegas, is a very interesting place to live. There are 5 different contiguous communities in what we call Las Vegas. They are Clark County, the city of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, and the smallest city of all, and that is Boulder City. Boulder City in its own is very, very unique and very interesting. What makes it so different? We'll find out today. Our very special guest on the program is the mayor of Boulder City. You'll meet him in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eamon Springall of Stitched at the Cosmopolitan, and you're watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
One of the best parts of Southern Nevada is actually living here. The neighborhoods, the communities. And most people don't know that, especially if you don't live in Southern Nevada. But it is the neighborhoods and the communities that make the difference. But why? What makes Las Vegas and all the communities around it so unique? Our very special guest today is a man who knows so well what makes this community of Southern Nevada so different. He is the mayor of the smallest communities of the contiguous 5 in Southern Nevada, Mayor Rod Woodbury of Boulder City. Mayor, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
Before I get into Boulder City, I've got to ask you something. The heritage of the Woodburys goes back pretty long way. It started with a great uncle, if I'm not mistaken, that decided that he wanted to throw his hat into the ring and become a member of that time, the Clark County School District. Mm-hmm. Your dad, what I believe is probably one of the greatest county commissioners that we had ever had in Southern Nevada, dedicated 28 years of his life to working with this community. Your sister, probably one of the more amazing state legislators in Nevada, and now you as mayor of one of the cities in Southern Nevada. Where did it come from for you? Was it a legacy that made you decide, you know what, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring, just like my dad, my sister, what made you decide this was going to be what you wanted to do?
All right, well, definitely it's kind of in the family blood, I think, public service, not necessarily any particular position, but as you said, my great uncle, Claire Woodbury, he was a school board trustee member, and I have a junior high named after him. He was one of the first doctors in all of Las Vegas. And of course, my father has been very kind of you to those kind words about him. Longtime public servant and loved doing what he did. There's not a day that goes by where somebody doesn't come up to him or come up to me and say, hey, tell your dad hi. He did great things for these outlying communities. But for me, it was just a need in Boulder City. We had some instability in government, a lot of incivility, and just, the rhetoric that was being thrown around. I was asked back in probably 2007, 2008, would you run? It wasn't the right time for me, but the rhetoric just got worse and worse. And, I was just seeing things that weren't being accomplished, a lot of counterproductive things going on. And I needed to get in to bring that stability back and dignity to the process.
Boulder City is such a unique community, but admittedly, Boulder City, as small as it is, had become a target for a long time, had become the one place that you would see in the headlines, not in a very, very positive way because of all the things that took place. Why then did Rod Woodbury, whose family has this amazing reputation in the community, say, I am going to try to make this better? And in that process, you got caught up in some of the negative publicity yourself, and because of things that were going on.
Yeah, well, I think that comes with the territory these days. The way the ethics pendulum swings, the way the media is these days. There's a lot of sensationalism out there, and you can't be in public service today without getting sued or without somebody, filing an ethics complaint against you or an AG complaint. And you kind of have to know that going in. You have to have thick skin. I was ready to handle that. It's the unfortunate part about that is that otherwise good people who would be willing to run aren't, and they don't
run.
They
Exactly.
don't these days, and so that changes the whole dynamic of what we have in government. And people complain about it, and yet we create this this environment where people don't want to get involved. And I needed, that was important for me to change that.
In your 2018 State of the City address, if I'm not mistaken, you made a correlation of light and dark. You made a correlation and challenged the media to go to the light side rather than the dark side, to talk about the positivity of Boulder City rather than the negativity of Boulder City. Have you seen it? You challenged them.
I have seen a little bit of a change. It's a constant battle, but there's so much good that's happening in the world. You can always focus on the negative side of things, and we have disagreement. That's what government's all about. It's about compromise. It's about diversity in our society with different ideas, different opinions, different circumstances, and you all come together in this kind of melting pot, and you have to figure out how to find solutions. But you don't you can disagree without being disagreeable. You can work together, find common ground, find solutions. And yes, I have seen a response to that by the media. They're searching for the positive, and it's not hard to find it, really.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean they don't have to. They ignore the negative.
So Boulder City
balanced.
Is this amazing little community. It started off because of the workers at Hoover Dam.
Yep.
Wanted a place. They had been living in tents until they decided to build these wonderful little houses in Boulder City to make it a community. And it was a place initially that was being built as a model for other towns very similar to that. Mm-hmm. Today, Boulder City, I still think, just for me now, and let me be honest with the audience, I have a relationship with Boulder City. I was very proud to say that I started the cable channel for Boulder City. Yeah. I was the first to do the first live parades from Boulder City, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So I have a relationship because I think it's a wonderful, wonderful little town, and I think the people are really great. But it's so small and it's so unique, and the residents there want to keep it that way, don't they?
Right. Well, and you keep saying small, and that's appropriate and true in terms of our population. What a lot of people don't know is we're the biggest geographical city in all of Nevada, over 200 square miles. And so, but part of that is kind of a buffer from what is, Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Valley. We do have a controlled growth ordinance out there, and we do like to remain small. In my opinion, we should have some growth, and it should be measured and managed growth. And I think most people in Boulder City share that. But we do want to be distinct as well. We want to maintain that small town charm, that Main Street feeling, where everybody knows everybody. You go to the grocery store and you meet your friends, you meet your enemies, you meet everybody, but that's a great thing. Your kids grow up together, and you work together I think a lot of America has lost that.
That Main Street America. Boulder City spent a lot of money now to create that Main Street America look in the downtown area of Boulder City. I love driving in there, and some very unique restaurants are in Boulder City. Of course, the Boulder Dam hotels. You have to go in just to see the history that's there. Great museum. It's just you are trying to make that almost the American city of Southern Nevada, aren't you?
Well, I think incidentally that happens, and I think the rest of the world feels that way when they come to Boulder City. They say, "Wow, what a gem you have here! I didn't even know about it." And so, with I-11 going around Boulder City now, we're doing our best to get the word out, because it's always a struggle when you have that kind of slow growth. You're not a big star on the map like everywhere else is. We do have Hoover Dam that attracts a lot of people, but, when people find out about it, word of mouth, they share it, and, they come there for an authentic reason, and it's historical. It's a wonderful place.
Okay, you mentioned it, and we'll talk about it now. I-11, great highway that's going to connect Las Vegas with Phoenix, Arizona. Save hours, save time, driving back and forth. but it does bypass Boulder City.
It does.
People are going to have to want to come off an exit in order to want to travel to Boulder City. There's a lot of businesses in Boulder City, Mayor, that rely on the tourists that come in. Do you worry that when the highway is complete, Boulder City will get lost?
Well, it's always a concern. We're going to find out really quickly here because it's about to come online next month. But, over the years, when I was a kid out in Boulder City, the bottleneck was at Hoover Dam. It took hours to get across Hoover Dam. And then they built the bypass bridge over the chasm there at Hoover Dam, and the bottleneck just moved up the hill to Boulder City at our main stoplight there, and then we widened that road, and the bottleneck moved out to Railroad Pass. And if you go there, not even just on weekends and holidays now, during weekdays, not even necessarily in the summer, traffic's backed up. People are miserable when that happens. They don't want to visit businesses when they're, and I can assure you that we residents don't go patronize our businesses when the traffic's backed up. So it's going to relieve that. Does it present challenges? Yes. Will it present new opportunities? Yes. Do I think it's going to destroy Boulder City? No. I think we're going to be just fine. But we're going to have to do some new things.
I'm going to take a break for a couple seconds. When I come back, I want to talk about what was probably one of the more controversial decisions ever made for Boulder City that changed a lot of things in Boulder City. And for the audience, if you don't know about Boulder City, you'll learn it's only one of 2 communities in Nevada that have made such a decision. We'll tell you about that in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us.
Hey, it's Mark Chinook from Monday's Dark, and you are watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
Good old-fashioned American town. That's what Boulder City is. It's a very, very unique place in Southern Nevada. Our very special guest on the program once again, the mayor of Boulder City, Rod Woodbury. Mayor, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Boulder City made a decision that at the time was, to say the least, controversial. The decision was that there would be no gambling in Boulder City. Matter of fact, the one place that was there of any size was the Railroad Pass Casino. And the decision was to allow the city of Henderson to annex that so Boulder City would not have gaming. A lot of people at the time said, you're going to kill the community if you don't allow gaming in the community. Didn't kill the community, but it did bring us some challenges. Do you ever look back, Mayor, and say, was it the right thing to do? I mean, you're only one of 2 communities. Panaca is the other one, and Boulder City that say no gambling in town.
Well, actually, Boulder City has always been gambling free, and that's because it was a federal reservation. It was designed, it was the place where the workers lived to build Hoover Dam. And the federal government wasn't allowing gambling at that time or ever, at the time of the building of Hoover Dam. And so there was the Railroad Pass on one side. Eventually there was the Gold Strike Inn on the other side. And some people think that's part of Boulder City, but it's not. And from time to time you hear people talking about that. Should we allow it in? Should we not? And I think the sentiment still is, by and large, we're different, we're distinct, and we like it that way, and it's close enough. And so we have residents that do obviously patronize the Railroad Pass, and now what's called the Hoover Dam Lodge on the other side. But I don't think there's any regrets from most people that live there.
You do things in your community that I honestly believe bring back the old time feeling of not only what Nevada was, but what American cities were, American towns were. You do things like the Jamboree in the springtime. My all-time favorite, you do the Arts in the Park, which is just an amazing event that takes place. July 4th, you do the Jamboree. You do things like, again, and one of my favorites is Santa's Electric Light Parade on Christmas time. And you have dog shows and community events. You do pancake breakfast. No place does pancake. You do all those things. How has that impacted not only the residents who live there, but the tourists who say, well, wait a minute, I didn't know about Art in the Park. That's just a great thing. It's massive, by the way, and it brings in a lot of people.
Sure does.
How do you deal with that? How do you see that in the importance of what Boulder City is?
Well, I think it's really important. We have all these festivals in the fall mostly, and then in the spring as well, and they're great. They were all grassroots movements. You left out Best Damn Barbecue.
Best Damn Barbecue.
And we have others, lots of art shows and things like that, and it's great for our community. Our staff at the city does a wonderful job. People don't realize what it takes to set those things up and tear them down and manage them with the traffic control and whatnot during them. But it does bring a nice influx into our economy. People love to visit this small town community and again have these social gatherings where people can actually get together and talk face to face and just enjoy one another's company, and it's just a wonderful thing for
What
us.
about the challenges of developing business? And I think the city has done a great job. You have, if I'm not mistaken, one of the largest solar farms in Nevada, in Boulder City. You're doing a lot of things to bring businesses in. You have a great old-time railroad that is just fun to get on the rail. Where do you see economically your community going?
Well, we're always trying to grow our economy and first off, making sure our existing businesses are stable, looking at attracting new businesses. We had one business recently come in called Metalac at our old grocery store where Vaughn's used to be, and I think that's going to be a nice boon to our kind of our forgotten stepchild. I call that from Buchanan out to Veterans Memorial Parkway. It's just it's an area that needs some revitalization. We've got a new cottages townhome community going in there. There's a lot of buzz about historic preservation of the old airport hangar.
Great golf courses.
Great golf courses are right nearby down Veterans Memorial. We've got our old Muni course. A lot of people don't know we have the Cascada golf course that was operated by Caesars.
One of the great golf courses.
Yeah.
One of the great golf courses.
So, and unlimited, if you're looking for outdoor things to do, unlimited. Bighorn sheep at the park, skydiving, kayaking, water sports.
Probably one of the fun things to do is to go down, I call it downtown, go on Main Street, grab a cup of coffee, walk over to the park early in the morning, and the bighorns just come up and graze in the grass.
Yes,
it's just a wonderful situation. You have your vision of Boulder City, and your number one item in your vision is a very unique item for a mayor to have, and that is family and faith. That's a very strange number one for a mayor to have. What makes that your number one, besides everything else?
Well, when it all comes down to it, if you don't have a solid family base, then you don't have a solid community. And we pride ourselves on our community, on our schools. Again, I talked earlier about how you meet each other in the grocery stores, and the same is true of the faith-based community. Every city council meeting, we have a pastor or a priest or some ecclesiastical leader or even individual citizens come in, and they start us off with a prayer, a petition to God on behalf of all of us. And Boulder City has a lot of different faiths and churches there, and so it is a little bit strange to kind of tie religion and government together, but there's a place for that. I mean, a lot of what we do, we don't legislate morality, but what we talk about impacts morality, and impacts people, and it impacts our livelihoods, and so that's why it's important.
Out of doing the things that you need to do, which you talked about in your vision, business environment, creating business environment, and creating a clear communication with the community, doing things like making sure the community is keeping up the pace. Where do you see, Mayor, your challenge be?
Well, it's always in a small community, everybody feels like they have a bigger voice than they would, say, in Las Vegas. And that's a good thing. But it also presents challenges because with so many people involved and with social media being what it is today, I mean, rumors fly, facts, if they are facts, opinions, whatever, fly really quickly. And so that's hard to manage sometimes. And you know, we as a city, that's our toughest challenge, is getting the positive message out, getting the true message out, you know, so that people have information on which to base these decisions that we have to make collectively. And so I think that's the toughest thing is, you know, how do you bring this diverse group of people together with different ideas and people who feel really invested in the community, feel like their voice is big. How do you, you know, then take that and come out of that, find common ground, find solutions without just stalling government?
What do you want Boulder City to be tomorrow that Boulder City is not today?
Well, what I really think about Boulder City is we need to find who we authentically are. I wrote an article recently about, you know, just we have a little bit of an identity crisis, and you can't be all things to all people. You know, Las Vegas, I think, has found its identity in terms of the travel and tourism and gaming. You know, some people might disagree with that, but it's an image, it's a brand. Boulder City, you know, I think we're splintered a little bit, and the one unique thing about Boulder City will always be Hoover Dam. We're the town that built Hoover Dam, but you can't have all these splintered messages. You have to find out what your true identity is, and then.
With the amazing growth that I've predicted will happen in Southern Nevada because of the Raiders coming here, the Great Golden Knights, all those things happening in Southern Nevada, do you think Boulder City is going to miss out on it?
I don't. I think there's plenty to go around. We work well together as jurisdictions. I meet often with the mayors of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson,
on a regular basis.
On a regular basis, and you know, we collaborate to make things happen. We rise together and we fall together. If Las Vegas isn't successful, then Boulder City is not going to be successful, and vice versa. They needed us for I-11. They needed us. I mean, Las Vegas wouldn't even exist if it weren't for the fact that Hoover Dam came in and the workers came in and they revitalized, you know, provided an opportunity where people needed entertainment. So it flourished again because we worked together, and it's always been that way, and it always will be that way.
Mr. Mayor, you're delightful. You've done, I think, an incredible job in your community. I think your community is very, very important to Southern Nevada, and I'm thrilled that it still remains this very unique, very charming community of Southern Nevada, because I think that is important to what Las Vegas is and what all of Southern Nevada is. So, Mayor, thank you for being with us, and an open invitation to you. Come back any time of the program, because we'd love to have you on and talk more about this amazing place called Boulder City. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'd be remiss in not mentioning all the great things you've done for Boulder City as well. You mentioned earlier the parades. We thank you for all you've done for us over the years.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate it. We'll have some closing words in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You know, I've lived in Southern Nevada for some 40 plus years, and I will tell you Boulder City is, as I have mentioned many times, a very, very unique community. But if you don't live here, you need to visit there. You'll see all the different things that are going on, especially during some very special times that we talked about, like Art in the Park, like the Jamboree, and of course the great Christmas light parade. It is a very, very wonderful part of Southern Nevada. You ought to stop by sometimes. I'm Steve Schorr. Be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun.